Welcome to your jam-packed latest Forest news. Coming up on today's episode, is Marco Silva gonna replace Nuno as manager? Taiwo leaving potentially to the MLS. Old Flame reignited, will Brereton Díaz rejoin? And Miguel wants Forest over West Ham. All this and plenty more coming up on your news today. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to a jam-packed episode with lots of gossip, rumors, and some factual stuff as well. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget, as always, hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and go grab your signed framed LED Forest home kit signed by all the team. The link is in the description and the comments, or you can scan this QR code on the screen. Okay, we've got a lot to talk about, and let's kick this off with the managerial situation. With Nuno's future still somewhat in doubt, although we've been hearing more so he's settled and is probably staying at Nottingham Forest. The Daily Mail today reported that Nuno may be replaced by Marco Silva. And it's very loose. It's very loose in my opinion. Why? Because they are right in half of what they're saying, and I think a bit looking for column inches in the second half. They're saying that Nuno is wanted by Spanish clubs and Portuguese clubs. We know that's true and that's the case. But Nuno has been deciding his future. We also know that Forest are happy to stay with Nuno, as in Marinakis and the hierarchy. But this Marco Silva one is very speculative in my opinion. Now, what we know about Marco Silva is a couple of things. He does have a release clause of 9 million on his Fulham contract. We also know that he turned down a lucrative deal Saudi last season. I think they were going to pay him like 20 million a year or something ridiculous like that. But he rejected it because he wants to still stay in the Premier League. And the other thing we know is that the relationship between Marinakis and Marco Silva is really strong. We know, like, there's loads of stuff. We know that they have conversations on semi-regular basis, him and Marinakis. They've worked together, obviously, many moons ago. And Marinakis is a huge admirer of him, as am I. I think Marco Silva is one of the most underrated managers in the Premier League. Now, what I will say on this, let's just assume there is legs behind this. I'm fully behind Nuno. Like, I think Nuno can do good things at Nottingham Forest. However, if Marco Silva is available and willing to come to Nottingham Forest, I would sack Nuno on the spot. Because for me, if you can get an upgrade in a striker position, if let's just say we've got Chris Wood up front and Kylian Mbappe called Marinakis and says, I've been a Forest fan since the day I was born. I really want to play for your club. Can I come? You'd take him. Do it with the goalkeeper. If Allison or something wanted to come to Forest, you'd upgrade him. And for me, if a manager of the status, in my opinion, that is better than Nuno in Marco Silva, you have to take him. Now, it's not something I would look to do mid-season. Let's just say in, I don't know, October, Forest are doing well, and then Marco Silva suddenly would be available. You don't want to blow the dynamics of what's going on in the team. But if there's plenty of time left, if we've got a pre-season and it's happening in the summer, then I'm not against it. I really am not. But that does not mean I am Nuno out. I am only Nuno out if what's coming is going to be ridiculously next level. And why do I rate Silva so much? Because look at the job he's done at Fulham. Look at the way he's taken a bunch of raggy dolls, with no due respect to Fulham, and he turns them into a progressive attacking team. I like his style of play. He likes a 4-3-3 formation. He's turned average players into really decent players, and he's made Fulham comfortable since they've come back in the Premier League. Let's not forget, he also walked the Championship the season we got promoted as well. And I just like his philosophy and his style of football. And honestly, he has been, and you guys know I've got receipts, he has been my number one choice. When Cooper went I wanted Silva in. So if he's available, personally for me, I'm all for it. But again, if he's not, then stick with Nuno. You can't get rid of Nuno and then bring in a Gareth Southgate. That would be a downgrade, in my opinion. If you're going to do it, it has to be an upgrade. Now, I know we beat them last time we played them. They were already on the beach. But something to point out about Marco Silva is he is ballsy. His substitutions, I think, are very interesting. Within, 20 minutes at Forest or whatever it was, he saw his plan wasn't working and whipped off 3 players and made the changes. And that's the kind of thing that I like about him. He's not proud enough to think he's got it right and just stick with the plan. He's ready and he's diverse. So if there are any legs in this one, if Nuno wants to leave Nottingham Forest to go back to Portugal or to go to Spain, then for me, without a shadow of a doubt, this is the person we should be going after. What do you guys think about this one? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let's move on to our second story, and that's on Taiwo. And again, this was mentioned in the Daily Fail article, but this is actually something that we've been hearing about for a couple of weeks, and we've spoken to you guys on it on previous videos, that potentially Taiwo wants to leave. Now, he did an interview about 2 or 3 games before the end of the season, where he was asked about his future at Nottingham Forest, and he didn't fully commit to an answer saying that he was going to be staying. Now, since then, I've heard rumours about him wanting to go to the MLS of all places. And I get that. I got that from some trusted sources. But Taiwo himself may not be fully settled right now at Forest and may want to move on. And I'm not against this one, but it does worry me at the same time. Because if Che Adams is coming in as a striker for Forest, are they now looking at him as the Taiwo replacement rather than the Taiwo and Chris Wood understudy? And that's why I worry about Che Adams, for all of you lot that are telling me it's good business. But let's put that to one side. Look, if Taiwo is going to leave to the MLS, we can probably get some good money for him. And with rumours about Forest PSR increasing now, we think it's about 25 to 30 million. There are some that are saying it's as high as 60 million in terms of the profit Forest need to make. I don't agree with those numbers, but if that's the case, then Taiwo is definitely going to need to be sold as an option to bring Forest to the dotted line. The Taiwo leaving, I'm not against, mainly because he's too injury prone for me. But we're gonna have to get a decent striker come the 1st of July onwards, because Che Adams is not the answer. Wolves, if you're watching, ignore what I've said. He's the greatest striker in Premier League history. Hijack that deal. I would rather get Iheanacho, however you say it, the Leicester striker who's on a free. I think he's a better Premier League striker than Che Adams. Why are we not going after him? Forest, if you're watching, do that one instead. So back to Taiwo, I can see it happening. Now, we know in terms of PSR, if we can get 25 million for him, then we know we're going to make about 15 million profit on him due to amortization, etc. So that's good business. But watch this space, because I got a feeling this could happen. Now, there is talks of, if Taiwo goes, the replacement, technically, if Che Adams doesn't happen, is going to be the old flame. Brereton Díaz coming back to Nottingham Forest. Now that his loan deal at Sheffield has finished, he's gone back to his parent club in Spain, and potentially he's still on the lookout for pastures new, or in Forest's case, pastures old. And I don't know how I feel about this one. I think he did really well at Sheffield in such a crap club, and he was able to score a handful of goals for them and look aggressive and attacking. I think there is legs on this one. But the fact that he stood there and celebrated in front of the Forest fans makes me want to punch him in the face. So I don't know how I feel about him. If I take the sentimentality out of it and look at it as a raw footballer, he's still young. He's 25. He can play on a wing. He can play up front. The only thing for me against him, he looks a little short. And physically, I don't know if he's strong enough. But he, for me, would be a better backup than Che Adams. I don't know about this one. I'd probably say I can eventually overlook the celebration if he starts scoring goals. And I guess technically, you know, if it was the other way around and someone celebrated at us, I'd be like, yeah, or we celebrated against them. I get it. I get it. So I'll put sentimentality aside. Now he's worth about 8 million. He went to, I think it was Villarreal, isn't it, in Spain? He went there for 16 million from Blackburn. So his valuation has gone down, and there could be a good deal to be had here on him. I'm trying to convince myself as I speak along here. I'm on the fence. I'm going to do an ant. I'm on the fence on this one. Would you guys take him back or not at about £8 million? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, let's give you the latest on the goalkeeper situation with Carlos Miguel from Corinthians. And this is definitely very, very close to being completed. It looks like Forest have staved off the attack from West Ham to hijack him, and he wants Nottingham Forest. I mean, can you blame him? Who would want to go to that toilet bowl stadium and their lack of real European trophies? Apart from when the Olympiacos win it, and then that makes it real. Anyway, I've been speaking to our good mate Mario, the Palmeiras fans. Top bloke, really good understanding of football in Brazil. And I've asked him about Carlos Miguel. And remember, he's talking to me from a position of hating Corinthians. It's literally like us having to talk about a Derby player, or in my case, a Man U player, or a Derby player, or a Sheffield player. And he has nothing but high praise for him. Through gritted teeth, may I add. Mario, if you're watching this, apologies. And what has he said about him? He said that the goalkeeper they had there, Caseo, was a legend at the Corinthians club. And Miguel was brought in to replace him, and he's been kind of between the sticks in the last dozen or so games for them. He says that his stature, his reaction times, the way he plays and his persona in front of the sticks is all brilliant, and he's showing a lot of potential and a lot of good attributes to the stage where they're referring to him as the new Dida. For all you people of my age who, 22, don't know who Dida is, legendary goalkeeper internationally at Brazil. And they are expecting that Miguel would have gone on to become the Brazilian international goalkeeper, obviously behind the likes of Alisson and Edison, etc. So he, for me, is very, very exciting. I like him. I think he's being brought in as an understudy to then replace Sells. But I see it in the same way that we saw the likes of Murillo. When Murillo came into Forest last season, a lot of people didn't want him straight in, apart from me and Anne and Ez, because new shiny toy and what have you. But what we saw with Murillo was that he just was so far and beyond ahead of everyone on the training pitch that even Steve Cooper, who likes to blood them in slowly, was forced to play him. And I think we will see a similar situation here with Carlos Miguel and see him potentially chucked into the team, because I just think it's so unique to have a 6'8" goalkeeper. He's going to be like a lamppost, man. He's going to be bigger than the goal itself. And to have a guy who's that tall with the reactions and the maneuverability that he does, I think is very exciting. So expect this to be announced soon. West Ham are not big enough of a club to outdo Forest on this one. But as soon as it's confirmed, we will let you know. Now, what we do know on top of that is it's going to be another 5-year deal at $3.5 million. That would be, if he just goes on to be a great keeper, the amortization on that would be ridiculous. Even if he got to like 30 million in terms of value, you're talking about huge profit for him. I think this is a cracking deal, and I'm really up for it. And if Mario is telling me, and he hates Corinthians, that this guy's got the potential, then yeah, it's got to be done. There is so many other rumors and stuff going on, but this video's gone on long enough. So that brings you up to date currently for your latest Forest news. If you haven't hit that like button, what are you waiting for? Make sure you've hit it now. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV as we are edging ever closer to 20,000 subscribers. We will see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.